if we haven't met before, my name's Karli. I am your quantum self-concept and manifestation coach. And if you are tired of the hope and hustle kind of manifestation advice, then you are exactly where you need to be. My people come and work with me when they're ready to dissolve limitations about what they think is possible. And here, it's not about chasing your desires, it's about collapsing the timelines by becoming that version of you who knows exactly what you want and knowing that that is inevitable. So today I wanted to make a video on shifting your thoughts. Okay. So shifting your thoughts when you are manifesting something pretty cool. And this has come up because I had a friend get in touch with me yesterday and he called me, a very, very good friend of mine. He was like, he's manifesting something pretty epic right now. And he called and he's like, explain this situation to me. He'd seen something in the 3D and he felt totally triggered. And he's like, I need to shift my thoughts on this. And so he's like, what is your advice? Like, what should I do? How do I do this? Because I don't want to mess up this manifestation, right? He doesn't want to mess up this thing that he is really wanting to create in his life. So I want to share with you what kind of process I took him through and what I said to him, like, these are the things that you need to prioritize so that you're not allowing your unconscious to run your life. And as Carl Jung said, right? Maybe you've heard this before, and I always butcher the quote. Let me know below if I get it right or if I completely mess it up. But I think he said something like, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. Okay. And this is exactly what a lot of people are doing. A lot of people are on autopilot. A lot of people out there don't actually know what they're thinking beneath the surface, right? Like, yeah, they're having these conscious thoughts, but they don't actually understand where these thoughts are coming from and what has caused these thoughts. And that is the stuff that is deep under the surface. Okay. So my friend called me yesterday, as I said, and he's like, hey, you know what I'm manifesting, right? I've just seen this thing in the 3D. Now, we know that circumstances don't matter. We know that the 3D is only a projection, or is it a reflection? It's only a reflection based on your inner world. Okay. So your outer world can only ever show you what is going on within you. Okay. So once he shared with me this 3D circumstance that he'd seen, I was like, we were not going to go up to the mirror and bang on the mirror and demand the mirror to change and to show him something different, right? Because we know that that is only a reflection of what his most dominant thoughts are within himself. Okay. So first and foremost, like, we had a bit of a chat. I put my coach hat on. I put my coach Karli hat on, and we started to understand some of these thoughts, some of these things that were underneath the surface that he didn't even know that he's been thinking. He didn't even know that these unconscious thoughts and beliefs have been running his life, and he's been calling it fate. Right? So we started to get to the root of a couple of those things. Now, we were only on the phone for a few minutes, right? We didn't have ages. So what I said to him to do is like, all right, now we've got a bit of awareness around what these thoughts are. What I want you to do later on today, when you get home, is go and sit by yourself for 20 to 30 minutes. No music, no distraction, no nothing. Just you, a notebook and your pen and your thoughts. Okay. And I said to him, like, this might feel really uncomfortable to begin with, but what I want you to do is I want you to notice all of the thoughts that come up in that time period. There's going to be some thoughts that are going to feel, not amazing. There's going to maybe be some ones that are in alignment with where you're going and what you're wanting to create, but there's also going to be some ones that are not in alignment with what you want to create, with who you want to be, okay, with what you're manifesting. And I said, be okay with that. Be okay with that. And can you take note of all of these thoughts that come up? Okay, just like you're literally just writing the whole time pretty much. And you're noticing all of these thoughts, you're writing them down. You're like, oh shit, that was, that's a big one. That's a big one. Wow, that one's come up a few times. And you just get these pages of thoughts that come up. And after you've written them all down, Can you look at them with curiosity? Can you look at them with this new awareness rather than judging yourself, rather than blaming yourself, rather than making yourself wrong for having these thoughts, right? Because what you're actually doing in this process is you're bringing the unconscious into your conscious so that it's no longer going to rule your life because you can't change something until you are aware of it. You can't change something that you don't know is going on below the surface. Like you don't know what you don't know. And you can't do anything with that until you know. All right. So I said to him, take note of all of these thoughts. Then what you're going to do at the end is you're going to look at them, no judgment, no blame, just pure curiosity and new awareness, and highlight them all. Like highlight the common trends, the common themes. Notice the threads, right? You're like, okay, this one here was me thinking that maybe I'm not good enough to have this thing that I want. And then this one here was me, not feeling like I live up to other people's expectations, right? And then there might be other thoughts and other beliefs about the world and about other people. Okay. So it's kind of like, thinking about what your self-concept actually is, which is what you believe about yourself, other people, and about the world. So you're going to start to take notice of all the things that you believe about yourself, all the thoughts you've had about you, and then all the things, let's just say, right? Let's just say you're manifesting an SP. Do you notice any thoughts in there about men or women in general? Okay. Are you looking at it going, oh, wow, how many times have I thought that men are not faithful? Or how many times have I thought that there aren't any good men out there? Just for example, I absolutely don't believe that. I love men. And I know there are so many amazing men out there. Okay. But what you want to do is you want to start to get this new awareness of the thoughts that you may be having under the surface that you didn't even know were there. All right. And again, like I want to reinforce this point because it's really important. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it's going to rule your life and you're going to feel powerless and you're going to feel like, oh, well, that's just the hand I've been dealt, right? Now, also, if you have a little bit more awareness around how manifestation works and about how your thoughts are creating, you might be in this place where you're like, but I'm affirming all the things. I'm affirming, I'm affirming, I'm affirming. But sometimes it's those beliefs that are underneath the surface that are so far down that you don't even realize you are thinking. And they're the ones that are running the show. So once you shine the light on those and create this new awareness, then you can actually change those. Now, to give you guys a bit of context as well, like one for me, when I sat down and did this exercise for the first time, I sat down, I wrote down all my thoughts. I was like, oh my God, I am actually so afraid. And this is not true. This is an old story now. All right, just like I'm going to cancel this in a minute. But I was so afraid that people would leave me. I was so afraid that, I would find, amazing people, but it would be too good to be true and it wouldn't last. And I didn't even know in my consciousness, I was not aware of that until I sat down and did this exercise. And I've done some other, work on that to actually extract those thoughts as well. Okay. But I would not have consciously known that. Well, certainly, I didn't know it at that time anyway. And so then I was able to look at the reality that I was creating as a result of that being one of my most dominant thoughts and dominant beliefs. So I got to work and I changed that quick, smart. Okay, because I did not want to experience that in my reality anymore. Okay. So let's get back to the process. So once you have written down all of the thoughts, just let your mind like spew out all of these thoughts, all of the thoughts. Write them all down. Once you've written them all down, notice if there's any common trends, any common themes. Okay. And then what I want you to do, this is what I said to my friend. I said, take all of the ones that are not in alignment with who you want to be and what you're creating, what you're manifesting, take them and literally flip them, right? This is where you create your new affirmation, your new story. So what do you want to think? What do you want to believe? Let's just say, right, the classic, I don't feel good enough to have what I want. Okay, how can you flip that? Well, use the words that resonate with you and whatever feels good for you, but it might sound something like, of course I'm good enough. I'm more than good enough. Okay, if you have a thought that is like, I'm afraid that people will forget me, what can you flip that to? Well, that could sound like, I'm unforgettable. Nobody can forget me. My energy is lasting, is everlasting. My energy leaves a mark. Okay. So you just literally want to take those affirmations and flip them and create these new affirmations, which then the next piece to this process is creating some kind of way of you saturating your mind with the new story, right? The new story of you, the new affirmations that you've just uncovered and created for yourself. Okay, so what could that look like? Well, it could look like anything. Okay, it could look like you doing 10 minutes of focused affirming 3 times a day, which is my personal favorite. And that is one of the ways that I have seen the most incredible results in my life, from actually setting aside 10 minutes to focus on one particular affirmation. So, whatever is the most important one for you in this moment, based on what you want, what you're wanting to manifest, what you're wanting to create. And I just affirm that for 10 minutes in my mind. I close my eyes, I lay down on the couch, I set my timer on Insight Timer for 10 minutes, and I just affirm in my head. And then when that timer goes off, depending on, if I'm manifesting a couple of different things, then what I might do is I might go and do another 10 minutes of a new affirmation or of the next affirmation, right? And I affirm that in my head again and again and again. And I do that 3 times a day. So I'll do that in the morning, I'll do it in the middle of the day, and I'll do it at nighttime. And also on top of that, throughout my day, I am so hyper vigilant of what I'm thinking. And if there are any old story thoughts, I interrupt those like so fast. And this took a lot of practice. And it's something that, I'm still doing and I'm still committed to. I mean, we should always be committed to it anyway. Once it's like once you know better, you do better, right? And yeah, so we want to make sure that if we're hearing any of those old story thoughts, you're like, hang on a second, like, no, that's not me. Delete that. Now, this is what I believe. The new story is, of course, I'm unforgettable. Nobody can forget about me. I'm the prize, or whatever your thing is, whatever your affirmations are. Okay. But so that's the practice piece. It's like, yes, implement, and we'll talk about routines again in a minute, but like the real practice piece is you actually being diligent enough during the day when your mind can so easily just slip in and go on autopilot. And you can then allow yourself to spiral, and before you know it, you've spent 2 days on the couch in front of Netflix thinking all of these worst case scenario thoughts. Whereas like you didn't have to do that. You could actually make the choice to interrupt them and stop that pattern and introduce a new thought and change your entire state like in a matter of seconds. Okay. So the first way is to do that focus, like 10 minutes of affirming, 10 minutes, like 3 times a day. Amazing. Life-changing. Life-changing. The other way is scripting. I love scripting as well. So scripting what you want to happen, scripting it in the present tense, scripting it though it's already happened. Okay. The other ways, what's the other way? The other way is recording your own voice, saying your new affirmations, and then playing those throughout your day overnight so that they're sinking into your subconscious. Okay. Like there are countless different ways or countless different routines and different ways that you can saturate your subconscious mind with your new story. But the thing and the I guess like the place where most people go wrong is that they give up too quickly. And they're like, I've been doing this for 2 days and I still haven't got the results yet. Well, that's okay, but you keep going. You keep persisting. Because hear me when I tell you this, that when you affirm it enough and you keep holding it, the vision in your mind, visualization is another technique, another ritual that you can do. But when you're holding that vision in your mind, there is no way that you will not get what you want. Your 3D reality must conform, and it does conform. But the reason why a lot of people, get stuck in these loops for like, they're, doing rituals or routines for years is because they're impatient and they give up and they don't persist, or they allow themselves to waver and they don't, they're getting back into that old story, that old state more than what they're in the new state and the new story and the new identity. Okay. So this is a big piece of the work that I do with my clients. It's like, how do we hold that new identity? How do we actually, now that we know what we want to believe and what we want to think, how do I actually hold that? How do I actually be that person? Think like that person, move like that person, walk like that person, talk like that person, breathe like that person all day, every day. Okay, that's the work. And of course, if you want support with that, please reach out um, and rewire your identity within 4 weeks of working with me. Okay. All right. So that's the kind of the process, right? It's like we need to understand, what are those thoughts? What are the subconscious thoughts? What are the things that are blocking your desires? And what are those thoughts that are running the show that you're not even aware of yet? Okay. We then need to understand what those thoughts are and flip them, create new stories. And then you need to create yourself a way, ritual, routine, whatever you want to call it, of saturating your subconscious mind with those new thoughts. And you need to be hyper vigilant on the thoughts that you're having all day, every day. When, something in the 3D is not lining up with who you're becoming in here and you want to spiral, who are you being? Are you being that old identity version of you, the one who has never got the things that they wanted or who's always had to wait? Or are you really allowing yourself to hold strong and hold solid in that new identity? That version of you who, of course, always gets what they want and they get what they want fast. Okay? Like it's a choice. It's a choice. And you get to choose every single day, every moment of every day. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Drop any questions below and I'll see you again soon.